Let's take a look at practice quiz for standard 3 on circles. Number 1 says, given the circle below, if arc AD equals 3x plus 5 and arc AB equals 2x plus 10, find x and then round to the nearest tenth. Alright, so they said arc AD is 3x plus 5. So let's label the picture. And arc AB is 2x plus 10. So let's label that picture. That arc, 2x plus 10. And then what we need to tell is how are those two related? So I can see that those two make up half of the whole circle. So if I add them together, they would equal 180. And that's going to help me find x. So let's just say 3x plus 5 plus 2x plus 10 all would equal 180. Alright, so then 3x plus 2x is 5x, and 5 plus 10 is 15, all equals 180. We can subtract 15, so we get 5x equals 165, and then divide both sides by 5. So we would get, 5 goes into 165 33 times. Alright, so that is it for number 1. So let's look at number 2. In circle X, PS equals 30 feet. Let's label PS is the whole diameter. I can tell that because it goes all the way across, and that is 30 feet. And it says find the length of arc ST. So if we want the length of arc ST, then we need to find, the radius, and the radius would have to be half of the 30. So we can go ahead and put the radius would be 15. And we also need to know the central angle that would correspond with arc ST that it intercepts. And then I can see that this arc PT is 125. And then together, those two would be half of my circle. So 180 minus 125 would help me figure out angle, the central angle, which is equal to arc ST. So 180 minus 125 would be 55 degrees. So now we can set up our formula. So arc length equals n over 360 times the circumference, which is 2 pi r. Or you could have done pi times diameter. That would also be fine. N is that central angle we had to figure out. So that was 55. Since it corresponded with arc ST that we're looking for. And then 2 pi times the radius, which was 15. And it says round our answer to the nearest tenth. So let's just use a calculator to type all that in and round it off. So 55 divided by 360. And then 2 pi times 15 would round to be 14.4 approximately. And that's it for number 2. Number 3 says in the figure below, arc CD is congruent to arc EF. CD equals 24 and EF equals 36 minus 3x. Find x and round to the nearest tenth. So for this figure, they've said the arc CD is congruent to arc EF. And when we know we have two congruent arcs, we know that the chords that they intercept would also be congruent. And that's what helps us figure this out. Because they've given us the chord CD is 24 and chord EF is 36 minus 3x. So let's set those equal. 24 equals 36 minus 3x. And then we can subtract 36 from both sides, so we get negative 12 equals negative 3x. And then just divide by negative 3, and we get x is equal to 4. And then that's all we needed to do for that one. Let's look at number 4. It says find x, y, and z in the figure below. So I see in my figure below I've got an inscribed quadrilateral. So I know that opposite angles in that inscribed quadrilateral are supplementary. And I know that the rules with inscribed angles still applies, so I can use that to help figure some things out. So let's see. That last angle I highlighted would be helpful. So angle X intercepts arc BCD, and BC is 60 and CD is 88. So let's put all that together. We've got an inscribed angle X that opens up to the intercepted arc BCD. So we know that an inscribed angle is half of the intercepted arc. So this whole arc would be 148. And our inscribed angle is half that size, which would be 74. So far we got X equals 74. All right, then I see Y is also an inscribed angle. So let's see if we can figure it out using what we know about those. So Y would be half of the intercepted arc ADC, which we could figure out because they gave us those two, are 70 plus 88. So 70 plus 88 would be 158. And then Y would be half of 158. So that would be 79. All right, and then we need to figure out Z. So Z is just the last arc in the circle that we haven't found yet. So Z is the measure of arc AB. So notice we have all of the rest of these arcs, and so we're able to just take those and we could either add them up first and then subtract from 360, or we could take 360 and subtract each of them and get the same thing. So let's see. Z, I'm going to say we know that these two are 158 already. We just figured that out on that last step. And then that one is 60. So I'm going to say 158 plus 60 would be 218. And then Z would need to be 360 minus 218, which would be 142. All right, so we found X, Y, and Z. Let's look at number 5. If AB is tangent to circle C, find the measure of AC and round to the nearest tenth. All right, so if AB is tangent to the circle, we know that forms a right angle. We've got the radius is 5 and one leg of our triangle is 8. Let me just draw it like that. And we need to figure out the hypotenuse. Remember, the hypotenuse is like your C in your Pythagorean theorem, or your longest side. So you definitely want to make sure you set it up right. We got A squared plus B squared equals C squared would help us out, because we have two sides of a right triangle, but we're looking for the third side. And we know two legs, so we could say 5 squared plus 8 squared equals, and we could just call it C squared for now. So 5 squared is 25. 8 squared is 64, and that would give us 89. And then we just need the square root of 89 because it said to round to the nearest tenth. So let's just type that in and get that real quick. So let's see. The square root of 89 is 9.4. So AC is approximately 9.4. All right. So that is all for practice quiz number 3.